Are you feeling a draft as in a redraft? If you could go back to 2018, would you take Luka or SGA with the #1 overall pick?
Just draft the best guy and figure out the rest later.
I have all 14 lottery picks redrafted. I'm Doug Kezirian. This is Hard Pass, also available in podcast. As a sports fan, one of my favorite things to analyze is a draft, specifically the NBA and NFL drafts. I like assessing them beforehand at the time, and I also enjoy going back and revisiting old drafts. The 2018 NBA draft is compelling because, get this, all the top picks and the best players have since been traded. We're talking Luka, SGA, Trae Young, and even Jalen Brunson. So not exactly franchise cornerstones, but they actually are with their new teams. It just took a roundabout way to get there. The teams that drafted them either at the time didn't know what they had, or the salary cap eventually played a major role in the decision-making process. 2018 does still have a debate of who would go #1.
I can tell you it's not Deandre, Ayton, and Marvin Bagley. I mean, those aren't going to be the top 2 picks in this redraft. I'll say that right now.
Safe to say the Phoenix Suns would like a mulligan on Deandre Ayton for the #1 overall pick, but they did reach the finals and lead the series 2-0. So it's defensible to a certain extent, but they didn't win the championship. However, Ayton was solid on his rookie deal because he was always outspoken about getting that second contract. Perhaps we should have paid attention on draft night.
The only questions there have been or concerns about Deandre Ayton have been his motor, his want to. Does he have the super high-level motor to do it every single night and to carry that kind of load?
Man, it was right there in front of everyone minutes before he was taken #1 overall. Now, knowing what I know now, if I had the #1 pick, I would take Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, the only other consideration is Luka. I certainly couldn't fault anyone for taking Luka, but if we're going to split hairs between 2 great players, I'll take the elite 2-way player. He's the Tim Duncan of the point guard position. Team leader, coachable, mature on and off the court, and I would never have to worry about anything with him. After all, the Mavs traded Luka after he led him to the NBA Finals. Now, the main reason for that was the Supermax contract, but they were sick of his act. Here's ESPN's Tim McMahon reflecting on a convo he had with a Dallas front office source who routinely complained that Luka was out of shape, didn't play defense, things along those lines.
I said, so, what are you going to do about it? And I swear to you, Mike, he said, if I got to trade him, I'll trade his ass. And Mike, I threw my head back and rolled my eyes because I was like, sure you will, buddy.
Now, Luka is only 26, will likely continue to improve. At least the Lakers hope so, but his defensive concerns are not going away. How about this next clip from Chris Broussard in the weeks leading up to the 2018 draft?
It has to be an overstatement. But a longtime NBA scout that I respect, I know knows his stuff, he said he's a cross between Larry Bird and Steve Nash. I said, if that's the case, then this dude's gonna light the league on fire.
His feet is slower than rush hour traffic. Okay, really slow feet.
Really, that's a problem.
Really slow feet. He struggled with quick defenders. Okay.
Guys defending him.
Oh yeah, guys getting in his pocket, getting after him.
I think that combo of Bird and Nash is pretty accurate, all things considered. And so is the criticism. He's a gifted offensive player, inarguable. But it took Dallas finding the ideal defensive pieces around him that enabled that finals run. We shall see if the Lakers can achieve that. If I had the second pick, I would go Luka. The talent is just too much to ignore, unless you're Vlade Divac. There are many rumors as to why the Sacramento Kings drafted Marvin Bagley over Luka, and a lot had to do with Divac having issues with Luka's dad, but Vlade has shot that down repeatedly. However, he is on record saying that he passed on Luka because the Kings already had De'Aaron Fox at point guard, and he needed the ball.
It reminds me of when the Blazers guys were saying, well, we didn't pick Michael Jordan because we had Clyde Drexler.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty stupid. So you ended up with Sam Bowie, and it was a disaster. So, I don't know. It's dumb.
And I think it's especially dumb to say it in 2024, in the 21st century, in the modern game, when we know how positionless the modern game is. We know, like you said, guys can coexist even if they're both ball dominant. Like, you just figure it out. It's such an indictment on like your own basketball IQ and creativity to be like, well, you got a guy that needs the ball, or we think he needs the ball, and yes, this generational prospect who's probably better than the guy we have is coming out, but they both have the ball. Like, just draft the best guy.
It's also worth noting the Suns had just hired a Slovenian head coach who once actually coached Luka, still didn't draft him. Now, the front office ultimately made the call, but it's worth noting. At number 3, I'm taking a guy who was drafted in the 2nd round. Can you remember? Jalen Brunson. The Mavs got a steal, but then let him get away. I think he makes the most sense in a redraft at 3. As he's shown, he can lead a team deep into the playoffs, although there's not a lot of NBA history of short stars winning championships. At number 4, comes down to Trae Young or Jaren Jackson Jr. Personally, I'd go with Triple J because he's a monster defensively, does enough offensively. Young, he's a true all-star, but he's a giant liability on defense. As the league evolves with more and more shooting, Trae Young becomes a little bit more replaceable. Personally, I just prefer Jackson, but I'm not going to trash Young because that's who I would take 5th in a redraft. And former North Carolina standout John Henson agrees with my at least 3 through 5, but he prefers Luka at 1.
I'm going to go Luka by way of just the product of his career, what he's done. And then I'm going to go SGA, Brunson, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Trae Young. Jaren Jackson Jr. was in the top 5. Trae was 2. So was Luka. So that's a strong 5, especially a strong 3.
I love John's picks. I'm going to stick with the same 3 through 5. I got Jalen Brunson, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Trae Young. There is a little bit of a drop-off after those guys. But in terms of the top 2 picks, give me Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at number 1. And if you're just looking at who's the best two-way player currently, SGA all day.
As the guys noted, there's a drop-off after the top 5. At 6, I would take Colin Sexton. Now, that's a bit of a curveball, but to get a point guard like that, it's pretty rare. All the guys next are somewhat replaceable. For me, next is Mikal Bridges, and I have no issue with him ahead of Sexton if that's where someone would want to go. Fantastic two-way player who can hit big shots, defend wings. But the league has a lot of 3-and-D guys now, although Bridges obviously much better than just a 3-and-D guy. However, he is on his 3rd team, so that's something to keep in mind. But I also love his self-awareness.
I just wasn't playing how I was supposed to be playing. I think I wasn't coachable enough. I don't know what it was. Maybe I felt too much entitlement, but just had to kind of talk to myself a little bit about it and just be coachable, be the best team I can be, and then, let basketball speak for itself.
At 8, another curveball, I would take Anthony Simons. Yeah, I just always loved his game. He puts enormous pressure on opposing defenses because of his range, and I just think he needs to find the right home. I haven't given up on him just yet. At 9, I'd probably go Michael Porter Jr., but we've since learned that playing alongside Jokic makes guys seem much better than they are. I mean, Porter Jr. in Brooklyn's like, his D, extremely weak, but he's about 6'10" and can seriously shoot. Next, I'd go Robert Williams. Yeah, Time Lord. I mean, look, in this alternate universe, I'm assuming he's going to have better injury luck. He's a really good defender, can start at center on a championship team. It's pretty good, right? Next is Dante DiVincenzo, a solid 3-and-D Villanova guy who's also great in the locker room. There's a lot to like in his game. After that, another 2nd rounder, Gary Trent Jr. We saw in the playoffs when the Bucks were really shorthanded, Trent can shoot the lights out, and that's hard to find. He also puts tons of pressure on opposing defenses. After that, I'd probably go Wendell Carter, but he's coming into his own now with the Magic. He was drafted 7th overall by the Bulls in 2018. But if you get past that, he's a solid stretch 4 or 5. And the last lottery pick, not Miles Bridges. I'm not a big fan. Grayson Allen. He seems to have found a home in Phoenix. And 2 years ago, you may not know this, he actually led the entire NBA in 3-point percentage. So that wraps up the top 14. Obviously, we have the luxury of hindsight. But I think it's pretty remarkable that even all these years later, in the hindsight, we still don't have a definitive consensus number 1 overall pick. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to know who you want number 1 overall, and if you strongly agreed or disagreed with my order or any picks, and maybe even skipping Bridges altogether, because I like Mikal Bridges, but not the other one. So let me know your thoughts. Join the conversation, and also please like and subscribe and hype the show.